This episode is brought to you by the RVA Podcast Network. Find more information at rvapodcast.org.
It's a new year, so you know what that means. That means a new season. It's season 4. Intro a little revamped. Microphone a little revamped. Branding a little revamped. We're now officially the Past BT. So welcome all Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and all podcast platforms. Here you're going to get a flavor of sports, music, tech, video games. Once in a while, we'll get an Ass of the Week and a new part that's going to be coming in. It's not mentioned on the season 3, but we do what's called Pass the Message. So definitely you want to tune in and get some good content on the Pass with your host BT. What is up? What's going on, y'all? Episode 276 of The Pass is here. I'm your host, BT, aka Brian, aka Something for the People. Where do I begin with nicknames and adjustments? But we're not going to do anything extravagant. I'm going to give y'all some good content, and we're going to go ahead and get a couple of the little things out of the way first, and then we'll get into the show. First and foremost, I have not recorded, if you all may or may not be aware, in almost a month. The last show that I did was actually back not too long after Kobe had passed. And that was kind of like that was a show that was an impromptu show, but it was a great show. If you want to check that out, that was episode 275 with DJ 2 Trill. One of my favorite shows that I've done in a while, and I definitely plan to do shows like that again in the future. With that being said, we were going to do our show a couple of weeks ago, which was recorded and in the process of possibly being uploaded. But for some reason, my heart and my mind just was not in it. And when you are podcasting or when you're recording, you don't want to do something and feel like it's either rushed or forced or it's uncomfortable or it's just not going to move right. And I guess it works out for me because I didn't do it then, and I have been recording shows for quite some time. I took this out of my shows, and I don't know why, so I'm going to bring this back. Every episode, I would normally come on and give what the episode number as far as the angel number meant. Some of them I think I got a little unbalanced with because of the grammar or how it was written, but I want to start getting back into the angel number bag only because a lot of times numbers have more meaning to us than we realize. And I've began to learn this more personally on a very spiritual and not non-religious, but more transparent level with my growth and well-being. So I'm beginning to be true to me, which I've not done in quite some time. And personally is paying off in the long haul. So with all of that being said, we're going to reinvent the wheel and return an activity that was done for the podcast, which is doing the angel numbers. And today's angel number, since it is episode 276, it is a message from the angels for you to begin giving back to the community. Acts of service to the less fortunate is very important for you right now. You have been in a situation where you have been wanting to give back. You have enough assets in your house that you do not use. Begin to sort these things and give them out to those that need them most. It is well known that if you have not used an item for more than a year, then you do not need it. The guardian angels advise you to give back so as to receive more in the future. For the future. You have been thinking of making changes in your life. These changes are mostly concerned with your career growth. Angel number 276 is a sign of development. The meaning is a sign of harmony. Begin to create harmony everywhere you go. Do not be in conflict with colleagues, especially your workmates. The angel numbers are sending you a message of advice saying that you need to begin to swallow your pride moving forward. Harmony is what enables others and yourself included to get by. Angel number 2 is a message from the angels for you to begin living in peace with those around you at all times. Encouragement is fondly associated with number 6 from Angel 276. This is a sign from the angels for you not to worry, continue to believe in yourself, and continue to love yourself. Hey, Carla, what's going on? Welcome to the show. I appreciate you tuning in. And how did they give me 6 but not give me number 7? Okay. The angel number 7 acknowledges that this may be a sad time in your life. So they are sending you this message saying that, love you too, babe. Good, welcome. Good to have you here. We ain't talked in a minute, but we're going to update that in a bit offline. So they are sending you this message saying that all shall be well soon. The angels want you to love yourself at all times. Do not be so mean and withhold good things in your life. Embrace this and you will begin to feel better soon. The angel number 276 wants you to go ahead with your plans and begin to develop yourself in the best ways possible. Seek advice from those who have been in the same situation as you are, so you may be steps ahead. The angels will be with you to guide you at all times. I'm going to start doing these again because that is definitely valid to where my life is personally and emotionally with everything that I'm trying to do as far as growing in a career and as a brand and as a platform. And I've not realized the importance of that until really sitting back and being forced to assess. And I've realized things that are forced don't work. When it's naturally time and you're ready to do it, you're going to do it. And that's just kind of the way the world moves and acts. And I guess it's a coincidence because I didn't talk about this on air, but I mentioned this during the last show, but it's something that I'm going to talk about. I was trying to do the last episode. I came in with my mic, had it ready to record, hooked up everything, tried to do sound checks, mic check 1, 2, whatever. Nothing was coming through my microphone. And I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, is this me? Is it something that I'm doing wrong? And in reality, it was my equipment. I had a setting that was set incorrectly in the program that I used to record. So that was my reminder to say, okay, let me get this done. Let me check it. I think I checked it about 3 or 4 times. I double checked it again. I checked it just now before we even started to hit record on this show. And here we are. So we're going to I'm making it my goal this year to improve my podcast because I've been giving effort to it, but not the effort that I want to. And I'm going to talk about that and pass the message because I just know I've been all over the place. Man, you so yeah. And I always forget to remind anybody who's listening to the audio. I do have Instagram Live, so if you are wanting to catch the live feed as I record, it is on Instagram under the Past BT. Thank you, and Carla just said, "Man, you're so blessed to still have your friend." And put hashtag domestic violence and loving the positive energy. And yes, it's really been positive energy, and it's been a large amount of growth and a large amount of internal healing and dealing and just movement. And people just kind of coming to me and telling me things that I needed to hear or reminders that I needed, or me kind of paying it forward to others who needed to kind of like open their minds and challenge themselves. So that's just something that I'm doing. It's a place that I'm at, and it's little stuff that has helped me lead up to that. So thank you for those encouraging words. I do appreciate it. As my friend has told me to learn to say, I'm grateful. This is going to be a little bit of the rough part because I know a lot of people aren't big sports fans, which is fine. So we're going to get into the sports. I've been away for a while, so I'm going to try to get some of the backstories out of the way. Trade talks have a lot of trades happen in the NBA. People have gone to different teams. A lot of free agency actions have occurred as far as players being waived, players being picked up. The biggest story that hit recently was DeMarcus Cousins was released by the Lakers. This brought up a good conversation, and I'm asking this on the show. I asked this in my sports group, and everybody kind of gave their answer before this news broke down. John Wall has been out for a majority of this year, and DeMarcus Cousins obviously was out this year because he got injured last year in the Golden State series against Toronto. And before I continue, Carla did say, yes, I'm on a healing process right now. We'll have to meet up with you. We'll have to meet up once we get settled, which, hey, I'm all for that. Just give me, you know me, time and place. And rest in heaven, Kobe. And I do want to, before I forget, because I did say it when I did the episode with 2 Trill, all of those members who were lost during that horrific or horrendous helicopter accident, they all, condolences to their family members and friends, those who have lost someone that was near and dear to them personally. And also, before I forget, because even though it's going to be in the music section, Pop Smoke, a lot of people don't listen to rap like that, and I get it. But even with us being at a stage or at a point where we are in life where we're losing people left and right for some of the most insane situations, rest in peace to Pop Smoke, condolences to his family and friends. And definitely, rest in heaven to everyone and anyone who has lost or been impacted by all that has gone on. I know a lot of people aren't big fans of it. Mercury retrograde has been insane. And I'll leave it at that. If you are not into the astrology factor, that's cool. But I'm just telling you now, the movement and the shifting of the atmosphere has been insane. And if you don't believe me, just sit back and observe. That's been my new thing that I'm learning to do more. That being said, like I said, I've already mentioned about DeMarcus Cousins being let go, which was a shocker. Because I personally did not expect the Lakers to let him go. So now he's looking for a place to play. And now that makes my conversation more intriguing because both John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins were drafted the same year. And I think they're not even 10 years into their career. And here it is now, like I know John Wall got his Supermax contract a couple years ago. And then you have DeMarcus Cousins, who was potentially about to get a Supermax contract, and he goes down. And now you have questions of will we see either of these guys play? If we do see them play, who's going to play first? So it's kind of almost like which came first, chicken or the egg. So I personally, if I was put in a position to really make a call, I think John Wall will be ready quicker than DeMarcus Cousins. 2020 has been hurtful, and we have to find ways to stay positive and find and pour more love into the atmosphere, into the universe. Yes, that is something that is not done enough. And I personally know from my own perspective, I would be looking forward to that occurring because there's more positivity in the world than we realize. But because a lot of us carry a lot of negative energy, it's a battle. And yes, I would like to see DeMarcus play too. Like that was my boy, especially when he was in Sacramento. When he went to the Lakers, you thought that was a mutual hit. So big hits, big props on that. Going into All-Star Weekend, we had, and I don't recall if we didn't record when it occurred. So let me go ahead and get this out of the way. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. They are your current Super Bowl champs. No one expected it, but they did what they did. So let's call a spade and accept it for what it's worth. I have come to a conclusion, and I'm going to say this on the podcast now before I forget, because I know a lot of people may give me grief about this, but I'm going to keep it real. I do more talk or more conversation about basketball than I do football. I love football. I am a hardcore football fan. I understand the game. I make jokes about the yellow and the blue lines. All of that's me. Like, I'm not going to sit there and fake it. But basketball, I grew up playing it. It's something that is always in my DNA, even with me trying to work on, I won't say losing weight, but trying to get back in shape. That has been my way to do it. And it's been little things of just getting back on the court and playing that has been helpful. And I'm talking about with the All-Star Weekend, it was, wow. All-Star Weekend was good. So I'm going to kind of time travel a little bit, but I'm not going to give too much heaviness on like Friday. I'm going to be honest. I like Friday's events, but Friday never really is my ooh and ah. So the celebrity game was played. We got a lot of comedy. We got a lot of chance. Seeing Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson play basketball at this point in their lives, not in their career, in their lives, is interesting. And I'm today, like I said, I'm in a different space, man. If you want to check out a good show, check out the Knuckleheads podcast. They are hilarious. Like they start off the show, and the first question they ask, they get, guys who have played in the NBA. they'll say, who was the first player in the league that busted your ass? And you literally have to think, when you look at guys who have played and think back to when they first got in the league, and it's like, yo, this dude gave me the business. And I know for me, it's been that way just playing basketball as a whole. So when I first came in, not NBA, but when I first played basketball, my competition, I had two guys. And they probably may or may not listen to the podcast, but Marcus, and let me not put governments, but Marcus and BB, when I say two guys that just gave me work, they made me work harder on learning how to play basketball, because playing with them was the greatest thing. But playing against them, when I say competitive, honey child, let me tell you. But yeah, they definitely brought out a good game. And also a good show to check out is All the Smoke. I did look at an episode. I looked at a couple of episodes of All the Smoke. And one of them was with DeMarcus Cousins. And then I went back and looked at the one with Kobe. And that was like one of his most recent interviews before he had passed. So it was just a coincidence that occurred. And yes, it was a challenge that made me better. Like granted, I'm almost 40. So now I'm playing basketball. I'm more in a relaxed state when it comes to playing, but I'm more about teaching the game than playing the game. So yeah, we had the celebrity game. Celebrity game was okay. Wasn't really much to rant and rave about. I forgot who won MVP, because like I said, I watched a good amount of it, but not enough to really get wowed by it. Then of course the Rising Stars Challenge was played. This put you had Zion. It was a coincidence because somehow you got Zion and Ja Morant to play on the same team again, because they played with each other before. They were teammates in high school when they played AAU basketball together. So that was a big hit on their part. So continuing forward now, and I think I want to say the Team USA won that matchup. I don't remember who was MVP, because I don't know. I want to say it was it was a gentleman from Golden State, but I don't remember, because I know Zion had a good stat line, but I don't think he was MVP capable. A lot of people thought that he should have been in an All-Star game. I personally think this was year one. We didn't see enough of Zion. If Zion had played more games this year, I think he would have been in an All-Star game. That's just my opinion. All right, so 16 minutes in, we're going to go ahead and get to where my articles start, but I'm not going to really read articles. I'm kind of going to paraphrase a little bit. Starting off, we had the skills challenge on Saturday. Saturday is the move. Saturday is the one that everybody enjoys, because you get the skills challenge, the 3-point shootout, the dunk contest all in one. And you had the skills contest, which is fun because you have a lot of big men who participate. Nikola Jokic was involved. Let me see who else. They may not show it in this specific article, but in the article that I did find, Bam Adebayo was actually the champion, or he won the skills challenge this year, which was, what was there to say, man? He came out there, and to see him, I guess he's one of those players who I've watched evolve or play from his time in high school. Like seeing him and seeing De'Aaron Fox play, I kept track of them in high school. I saw them their freshman year in Kentucky. I think a lot of people were shocked that Bam was picked as high as he was in the draft, but in reality, he earned it. So you got to call a spade a spade. And then you look at just his development in the NBA has helped him become like that stretch big. It's early in his career, and I think what's helpful is he's not as raw as he once was. Like if you look at, and I think a lot of people don't like this. This is me not comparing. I'm not comparing these two players, but it's a similar process. When Anthony Davis was in high school, he went through a growth spurt. So when he got to college, he just knew how to be a guard that just happened to be tall. That then developed to him being able to know how to handle the ball, knowing how to shoot threes, knowing how to set up on the mid-range, post up on the block. Bam, it was kind of the exact opposite a little bit, where it was more, okay, I'm getting on the block, or I'm going to set up at mid-range and kind of go into my 3-point stance of, I'm either going to go by you, I may take a jumper, He didn't really have much of a jumper per se, but it's even shown if you look at a lot of his highlights in high school. He was very raw. His main thing was, I'm catching everything off the rim, I'm dunking on everybody, and that's just what I do. So now he's added things into his arsenal, such as a 3-point range, such as ball handling. And now with the transition of the NBA where players are more not one dimensional and they only can shoot or only can pass or only can dribble, you're starting to see that become like more of a parity into the NBA. So yeah, he did win the skills challenge. He won it, and this is the first time a Miami Heat player has won it since Dwayne Wade back in 2007. So props to him for that. Buddy Hield was our 3-point shootout contest winner. He was able to beat Devin Booker, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm not going to read these articles too heavy, but I am going to say something where I need to say what needs to be said. Now, everyone else thought this was cool. I personally didn't. I don't think the Mountain Dew ball is necessary. That is and I get it. It's a long range 3. It looks good. A lot of players are shooting that far. Anyway, you got Trae Young, who was in the 3-point shootout. He shoots from there in game with Atlanta. So him doing it in a 3-point contest was no surprise. It was helpful because the shots were worth 3 points. Cool. No problem. I'm with you. I got you. No, I'm all for it. But, Buddy Hield has been a good shooter ever since he was in New Orleans. And I think a lot of people forgot it at that time, but it's kind of a coincidence because if you really go back and because we just talked about him, Buddy Hield got to Sacramento because of the trade to send DeMarcus from Sacramento. So it's like having that all come full circle and now reaching a point where he's, a solid shooter and like really playing his role, like having Sacramento has the pieces to potentially win. It's just a matter of they got a lot of trees that they got to get past. Like right now, let's just call a spade a spade. Sacramento's trash. Golden State's trash. Minnesota's trash. After those 3 teams, it's kind of a toss up as to what we will or won't see. Portland is questioning because McCollum's been out for a minute. We know Damian Lillard missed the All-Star weekend. He was supposed to be participating in a couple of these events, and he was unable to due to his injury. So you have that factor as well. So yeah, it was cool to see. And now adding those 2 shots did give the players an extra 10 seconds, which is helpful because you got to run to that specific spot and shoot, which is definitely not as simple as it sounds. So, like I said, we had that all going, and it's just we just got to see a good shooter in action do what he does and play basketball. So, props to Buddy Hield for winning the 3-point shootout. All right. This is probably going to be the meat and potatoes of the podcast, and I'm going to try to get into everything that I have talked about, have observed, have thought about, felt should be addressed, et cetera, with this dunk contest. The NBA dunk contest this year might have been one of the best dunk contests we've seen in a while. One, Aaron Gordon gets snubbed every time, and it sucks. But it's also one of those things where you're in a no-win situation regardless. So let's hop into it. Aaron Gordon had 5 perfect scores. The last one that he did, the last dunk that he did, he was attempting to jump over 7'5", 7'6". We're not going to be, for sake of discussion, we'll say 7'6". He's 7'6", Taco Fall. Shaq was initially going to go out there and be that person, but Shaq was in a mixed position, and I'm going to get into that real quick. He was doing recordings for the dunk contest with the camera. But I think for him personally, he's mentally not there to be dunked over at all. And I just noticed it with him because he's just, I'm cool. I'm good. So the big question at hand is, because I think there was one dunk, and someone brought this up, and I'm going to say it because I feel like it needs to be the reality. There was a dunk, one of the dunks that Aaron Gordon went for that he got a 50 on. He did the dunk, in that process. He went for it the first time, attempted it, and it wasn't successful. So an unsuccessful dunk should what's going on, Jarrell? Welcome to the show. An unsuccessful dunk should automatically hit the points a little bit hard, even if you successfully get that score. So they gave him the score, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna ride this out, see how it goes. So we then get into the dunk off and the battle between him and Derrick Jones. Derrick Jones winning his bag. He definitely did some creative dunks. The dunk from the free throw line definitely was one to see. This was talked about in the group. I'm saying it now. Sorry, I'm like all over the place with noise, but I'm adjusting because I don't want my tablet to die mid recording. Yes, and like Jarrell just said, he was saying that unsuccessful dunks take away from the excitement. It does, but it's a couple things, and I'm going to get into everything that I want to say about this before I forget, because it's a lot of just weirdness in this whole process. First and foremost, we need to. So, what should have happened during now with the panel of dunk judges you had? They should have been able to find a way to have their score balance out so they could do a judge off, because doing multiple dunk offs was not going to be the solution. Because yes, you can get creative and get more dunks, but there aren't but so many dunks. Like if we go back, let's travel in time. The dunk contest has always been one winner. Someone brought up, they should have had to be a draw. They don't do draws in dunk contests. It's just not a thing. And you have to know that as a fan of watching the dunk contest. 1 year, John Wall won the dunk contest. Let's just keep that in mind. And I know I'm giving random information, but I'm just giving you perspective on understanding how this all comes together. If the scores were that tough and that hard to come up with, have a judge off. Have the 5 judges each say who they think should win between these two players. Now, if I just didn't choose Aaron because I felt like I didn't like the dunks he did, then that's your personal choice. Or if you felt Derrick Jones didn't do certain things, again, personal choice. My other option, which is a wild card and it's a stretch, but don't get people who are basketball oriented. Yes, this is going to sound weird, but hear me out. You can get people who are going to be honest in judging and knowing what to look for. But if you're getting folks who watch dunks all the time, come and watch his basketball. Dwayne Wade played in the NBA. He's seen people dunk. He's thrown alleys to the infamous, famous alley to LeBron. Yes, see, Jarrell agrees with me. No basketball oriented people. Because then if you took, okay, heck, you could get folks that's in the XFL. Yeah, I'm throwing shade, but not intentionally. You could get players who play in other sports, except for the Houston Astros. Don't get them because they might still play, or they might try to do some type of a smacking against the wall system to get points. I don't know how or what they would do. Granted, oh yeah, super shots fired. I'm not gonna listen. I'm not with the shits today. Get players who are not, or get people who are not basketball savvy, but understand how to score and what to look for. And then that way, if you don't see anybody get 50s, it was okay. I thought it was a nice dunk. If you really, all right, this is my last part, and then I'm going to go into the next story. If you really wanted to be a wild free for all, put some women up there. Like get 5 women. Matter of fact, if you're really risky, get 5 women who have played in the WNBA that can dunk. So that means you giving me, yes, retired MLB, NFL, NHL, WNBA players. like I said, MLB, we got to take the Houston Astros out, and we taking out Pete Rose. Can't do it. And anybody that did, it might be savage, but take out everybody that did steroids. So that takes out about 50% of the MLB. But you get Brittany Griner, you get Tina Snow, you have Lisa Leslie. I will get Tina Thompson for sake of conversation. Or shoot, you ain't gotta do that. Go that far. Get Lauren Jackson, bring her back. Sue Bird. No, not Sue Bird. What's her name? Diana Taurasi. And if you want to throw it in there, I didn't leave her off on purpose, but give me Candace Parker. Those are players who have dunked in game, like in game dunks we've seen. And there you go. You got that way you give, and plus that gives the WNBA exposure, because I'm not, and this is 2020 Brian. I'm learning this and I'm working on this hard because I'm not holding shots no more. I've done it enough, and it's stopping now. What you can do, I'm not even gonna say what you can do. The challenge that is noticed with the NBA is almost like the NBA tries to separate itself from all of its affiliated activities. And that's not a good move. The WNBA, the NBA 2K League, the G League, Junior NBA, all of these are part of the NBA. So it's like you can't find yourself to not utilize these as being beneficial whatsoever, to not have one be involved with the other. Yes, and Jarrell agrees. WNBA players judging is a win. Have them be players who have dunked or have seen or can dunk or do know about the process of dunking. That's my take. Run with it. If I see this occur next season, just remember I want a ticket at front seat. I want front row tickets. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, the NBA doesn't affiliate themselves with these larger markets that are part of their market. Perfect example, and I'm gonna move on because I'm holding this story. I knew I was gonna get into this strong, and I know I'm all over the place with what I'm talking about, but it's all a method to my madness, is those who know me. Let's say you took. Let's look at, because today is the NBA 2K League. They're doing the draft today, which, by the way, Dirk, who is one of the commentators, I hope you make a team, because I've seen your grind as far as a commentator, as well as like your plan and your effort, like you involved, and I give you props for that. Let's say you do the 2K League draft. Adam Silver needs to be at that event. Why is he not involved in those events when that's part of the NBA? Like, NBA 2K is the reason why NBA Live quietly folded. Just putting it out there. You have that factor. You also have the WNBA. Yes, the WNBA does have a commissioner, but why isn't Adam Silver involved with that? The G League. If the NBA is really trying to utilize their profit and make their money, Adam Silver, hey, I'm here to introduce the first 10 picks for the G League draft, or whatever the case may be, because that's exposure. That's giving your platform its exposure, and also the platforms that are within your platform its proper exposure. And that it's weird to me that the NBA isn't thinking that, like, you can't be forward thinking when you're still doing things back in the 80s. That's all I'm gonna say. And I say that with the utmost respect and high credibility for the NBA as a league. But we can't, and that's something that is probably going to be part of my passing message. We can't live in 2020 still thinking it's 2000. So, yeah, the dunk contest, I know I went on a random tangent and I didn't want to go too far with that, but I wanted to at least get it out of the way because it was something that occurred. Dude, this story is still crazy. Let me make sure. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do these in order as they occurred, because it's still weird that it happened. So if you did or didn't know, I guess John Beilein is not working out or was not working out in Cleveland. Beilein is a college. Sorry, I mean to beat the table. John Beilein is a college coach. We have got to accept when college coaches are not ready for NBA jobs. There is a reason that Coach Calipari will not take an NBA job. There is a reason that Coach K will never leave Duke. Let's be honest with ourselves and accept reality. John Beilein came into this role thinking that this was going to help. Oh yeah, John B catching these hands, and not John B the R&B singer. John B got to catch this because it was not working out at all. Winning shuts people up. The Cavs are trash. Like, they are on the verge of getting the first, if not the second pick in the 2020 NBA draft. Blind theory, but I'm claiming it now. Wiseman or LaMelo might be in Cleveland. Don't be surprised. I'm saying this as a weird forecast, but when the NBA draft comes, it's going to be interesting. Yes, not everyone can make the switch from NCAA basketball to the NBA. The reason that they can't is because it's a different environment of coaching. NBA players are more free, more relaxed. There's not much of a, we're all going to do drills together. The NBA, it's all the guards are here, all the forwards are here, all the centers are here. We're going to do these focus-based drills in this manner, and I've got to find a way to connect to my players and understand what they're into. Steve Kerr went through this battle when he first got to Golden State. When you're dealing with players who are like college-wise, yeah, folks wear headphones and they listen to their music. But in the NBA, a lot of guys are just like, look, I'm out here on the court just so I'm here to say that I came to practice. Let me practice. Let's do our couple of drills together as a team, learn and go over the plays. He may not have had good plays set up. It's something with this setup that just did not sit right. Colin Sexton looks better this year, but it's also like a weird situation in my opinion. And I'm stretching. Like I say, I'm stretching today. I am definitely on the court today to stretch and shoot because it needs to be said. Okay, and yes, the front office not helping is important as well to think about. I know y'all probably like, why is he beating the desk? And I'm sorry. Normally I would be more prepared. I think I got a solution. I may start bringing my mic stand in here. We're gonna think about that. But yeah, if you're put in a position in any job or any role to fulfill a job or a duty, you're put in that position to do one or two things. You either set up for success or you're set up for failure. A lot of coaches and a lot of teams get set up for failure. Beilein was 67 years old. Or he is 67 years old. I don't know why I'm saying past tense. He's still living. Beilein, what's his name? Boeheim from Syracuse. Coach K, Calipari, Pitino. We need to go back to when Pitino coached Boston and looked lost. Like, yes, you can get a team in the playoffs. Cool. But you got to be able to think NBA playoff basketball, not college March Madness basketball. And granted, Cleveland was not in a position to make a playoff run, but it just is a tough position or a tough situation. Let's see. He was expected to say he's going to say goodbye to the players late Wednesday, when they return from All-Star break. They negotiated a final settlement that will pay him a portion of the remaining money for the contract. He left Michigan to sign a 5-year contract that included a team option that would pay him more than $4 million per season. He struggled to connect with NBA players and was never able to implement his collegiate offense into the pro game. He befell the plight of some previous coaches who made the leap to the NBA. players quickly tuning him out with his penchant for screaming and believing that Beilein was treating them as young college athletes, not as professionals. The coach struggled with the stress of losing games and the lack of control he felt within the locker room. The organization largely wanted him just to concentrate on developing the young talent. He was hired. Bickerstaff was hired as part of an eventual succession plan with Beilein, who came into the NBA after 40 plus years in college basketball. That elevation came much sooner than expected after Beilein was hired in spring. I don't know. And calling folks thugs. Let's not forget that either. Like you. And this is also something that I'm learning and beginning to learn as a podcaster. You have to be smart with media. You have got to be smart with your media. That is your platform. Even if you don't record live, if you're recording or giving anyone any content or information, the worst thing you can do is give someone half-assed information or going on record to say something stupid. When you sit at that podium and there are 50 mics in front of you, everything that you could say, possibly say, or are going to say is being utilized to possibly go in an article. If that article said, he said that these guys are stupid, they're going to say this coach went on record to say his players are stupid. And that is stupid. You can't do that. Like it's just, you're not in that role. So yeah, it just was not working out. And that's just the best way to describe that story. It was a good try. Bickerstaff will be covering the team probably till the end of the season, and they're going to go on a coaching search. My recommendation, stay away from college coaches. If you're looking at getting good NBA coaches, hell, if you wanted to, bring what's his name back, Tyronn Lue. What was wrong with Lue? Lue didn't work out because, okay, LeBron left. All right. Lue was one of your few coaches that actually was kind of relatable to some extent in the NBA. Just keep that in mind. Just putting that out there. Mark Jackson is out there. We're going to talk about this real quick before I go into the All-Star game. Mark Jackson is not going to get a job in the NBA. And I'm not saying this in a negative manner, and I'm not putting him down as a coach. Mark Jackson is the reason why Golden State won the championships they won in Golden State. Steve Kerr just happened to come in and work with the pieces that were there and make them win. And I don't know why I want to say 2, but they won 3 championships. So, great, cool, whatever. Mark Jackson was implementing religion into the NBA. Mark Jackson was making a change, and this goes back to what I said a couple of minutes ago. If your routine is still set on we have to do these things this way, and someone comes in with a new routine and everyone's not open to it, it becomes a problem. And that is one of those stories or one of those situations that occurred with Mark Jackson. Is Mark Jackson a good coach? Absolutely. Is him possibly bringing his religion and or beliefs to the league a problem? Not necessarily, but then it's also it goes back to what I just mentioned about resistance to change. If we're used to doing things a certain way and we've been doing it this way for this long, why are you going to come in here and ruffle feathers? We don't like feathers being ruffled. We like to do what we do. We're $1 million athletes. Don't tell us what to do and how to play our game. Let us play. Don't come in here and throw us information that we're not interested in. I'm cool. I'm going to do what I do because I know what I know. And players are going to always win that battle because no players means no basketball. Just something to think about. Like in the role that I'm in, I say this all the time to people, and people get mad because they complain about seeing patients and having to deal with patients and working with patients who are not feeling well or whatever the case may be. But the reality is no patients, no job. NFL, no NFL players, no job. If you took the owners away, you can find people that will run teams to make the NFL money. But if it's, hey, Mark Jackson is our coach, these are our players. what we're paying Mark Jackson is not going to be a huge impact. What we're paying these players, that's why people are in the stands. People don't come to the stands to see the coach. It's something to think about. The coach just gets credit if they win. He gets bashed if they lose. Just remember that. But everything you said, yes, I feel like Mark Jackson should be a coach in the NBA, but I just know it's not going to happen, which sucks. So the All-Star game, we spent 45 minutes on the All-Star weekend. All-Star game number 69 has come and went. And LeBron's team won thanks to a free throw. The new format is everything. They're going to implement this format again next year. I think it worked. It is similar to what the It's similar to what they do in the basketball tournament that they do every year, where it's for $1 million or $2 million. It worked. They play for so many, scoring so many points per quarter. And then at the end, there's a target score that you have to get to. And once you reach that target score, then your team wins. I don't have it in this article, but there is a term for what it's called. They tried it in there. They tried it in the TBT. And I doubt, personally, the NBA shouldn't do it as a whole. Don't even try. Don't mess with. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But like for regular season games, don't do it. For the All-Star game, I'm all for it. It made players actually play harder. The only thing that I did not understand in the fourth quarter, and I'm going to probably get time for this or get heat about it, but I'm going to say it. This was their first All-Star, yes. But Trae Young and Luka Doncic should have been in the game for some of those minutes or some of that time to help possibly get some of those points. Just my opinion, just my thought. I'm just throwing it out there. They did grade all the players for both teams, and every grade that they gave was pretty accurate. Kawhi was very humble but appreciative of winning the first Kobe Bryant All-Star MVP trophy, and he earned it. Period. He had 30 points. He was 8 for 14 from 3, had 4 assists, 7 boards. I mean, he was on pace to possibly break Paul George's record for most threes in the game or in an All-Star game. Like I said, everyone else did what I expected them to do. Ben Simmons got an A, which was shocking because he was not really. He was a factor, but he wasn't a tremendous factor. Westbrook looked like struggle. Westbrook's exposure in the All-Star game now is the same exposure we're seeing with him playing with Harden. I don't want to say this now, but I won't be surprised if that gets blown up. Just put that out there. It's something to think about, something to look at, because basketball, as I say time and time again, it changes with the weather. It changes with time. And yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, Arvydas Sabonis' son, he got a C- based on ESPN. Devin Booker got a C-. I mean, they played their best part of being into the game. And this is important to bring up. I'm going to say this because it was talked about and it needs to be addressed. So players are selected to go to the All-Star game. Some players make it, some don't. We go through the infamous term of players being snubbed. Cool. I got you. Yes. Those two will not win together, not as starters. Now, if one of them was, and this is a stretch, but it's a slim chance of it happening. If you give Westbrook the second unit, he could get a triple-double off the bench. But it's a tough situation because you can't bench a player who's averaging over 25 a game. Just putting it out there. Dang, I lost my thought. So, okay, so you have players who are playing, they're working to try to get into the All-Star game. They unveil the All-Star teams. Oh man, these guys should have been starting. This player should have been starting. I don't think this is right. This player should be in the All-Star game. Okay, cool. We'll put them on the bench. They put players on the bench. Great. Bench time comes. We working on the bench scene. Now you have players who are not starting, or you have players who make the roster, and then it's, well, we left these guys off of the roster. Like this year it was Bradley Beal, Devin Booker. All right, cool. Damian Lillard happens to get hurt. Booker comes in. Booker still didn't play like the best All-Star game. I don't think, even if now I'm stretching, even if Bradley Beal had played, I love Bradley Beal as a player. Beal playing in the All-Star game, having All-Star nods are important for contracts. Let me repeat that again. All-Star appearances are important for contracts because that is how players earn their signing bonuses. I need people who don't watch sports ball to know it's little things that may or may not seem important, but they're important behind the scenes, not on the surface. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I have two more stories, and then we'll get into some stuff. And Ass of the Week is still, wow, still mind blown by it. And I will address, well, I've already addressed Pass of the Week, so we're not going to OD that. But I have a message that I'm going to pass that should be very, 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 very phenomenal. Kentucky recruited one of the top recruits in Khalil Whitney. I thought Khalil Whitney was a good basketball player in in high school. He was looking to be that guy in Kentucky, but it didn't work. They were really, there's not enough time or enough ball. You can't spread the ball around enough to get him the touches he needs to be a factor with the team. I get what they were trying to do. I know it was a plan and a method to the madness, but you just had too many guys. You already had Tyrese Maxey. You had, it's like Kentucky's rotation was already strong as it was. So adding him into the mix didn't really make it better. And the other thing is, and you know what? Like I said, 2020, I'm letting off rounds because it needs to be pointed out. If you go back and look, Karl Anthony Towns was drafted number 1 in his draft class about 5 or 6 years ago. He averaged barely 10 points a game. It was like 10 to 12 points per game he was averaging in Kentucky. Just keep that in mind. Just really sit back and think about that. Because guys, when players play in Kentucky, you already know your time is about your time distribution, your minutes distribution, your play on the court is going to be impacted by other guys who are trying to come in, not only to get more minutes off of you, but also to get their possible shine and get scouts, NBA scouts, to see, hey, this guy needs to come play. Like the kid that's at Dayton, they keeping an eye on him tremendously. And I might be missing it because I know it's Dayton. I don't know if it's Dayton or if it's the other school, but they are definitely looking to see what's going to happen. Like right now, Carmelo's injured. I'm sorry, not Carmelo. LaMelo Ball's injured. And there's already the strong chance that he's going to be the number 2 pick. Wiseman has not played a game. James Wiseman has not played a game since, since November or December. And he's already in most radars as top 5. Cole Anthony, the Tar Heels are going to have a trash season. If they make the tournament as an at-large bid, the only way they're doing it is because they already have the pieces in place to win. Well, I'm sorry. Let me backtrack. If the Tar Heels make the tournament, it's going to be because they made a good run in the ACC tournament. I'm slipping. I don't know what I was just talking about, but yeah. Whitney's going to be an interesting piece because he's now going to be a year removed from school. Do not be surprised if he decides to go pro. Don't be surprised. I don't know where he would be draft-wise. Now, it's going to be a factor of how he looks if if he's going off and doing like practices and drills and getting prepared. But don't be surprised if he goes pro. That was why Wiseman did what he did. Wiseman didn't want to sit out this year. Wiseman didn't want to go through what Memphis was going to send him through. Everyone loves Anthony. I can't remember his name, but the guard from Georgia. He looks great. Like he looks good. The only thing that I've noticed with him, and this was the case even in high school, is he's very, very, very raw in development. And going to Georgetown helped him because Tom Crean is just going to let you play. He's just like, look, do whatever you do. Once you get to the end of your season, whatever your decision is, I'm backing you. Because, I mean, he's done it before with other bigger names. And that's just kind of what it is. Like, I really had to think about it. I did not realize until they showed the video that Tom Crean coached Marquette when Dwayne Wade was there, when they went to the Final Four. So just think about that as far as players that he's coached or has been involved in developing or possibly getting them to the next level. I believe he was in Indiana when Oladipo was there. I might be wrong, but I want to say he was. So yeah, that's mainly that story in a nutshell. This is a weird story, but it's a funny one because I found it and I was just like, all right, I don't really know to believe it or not, but we'll get into it a little bit. The Astros cheating scandal may be good news for the MLB. The Houston Astros cheating scandal may be hanging over Major League Baseball like a dark cloud, but the sign stealing scheme could actually boost interest in the game rather than turn fans away, which was said back on Wednesday. With the 2020 regular season just around the corner, the sense of optimism that usually surrounds spring training has been missing as disgruntled players add their voices to the daily chorus of Astros condemnation. Houston, who will begin the regular season at home on March 26th, may be the team baseball fans love to hate this year, and that could mean higher TV ratings and ticket sales as supporters of clubs seek a way to voice their displeasure with the Astros when they come to town. What's going on, cuz? How are you? Welcome to the show. Both Houston and the MLB have been a large focus of the daily conversation in the sporting world for the last month with no end in sight. And they talk about a couple other things regarding that. So I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to really give this a whole lot of attention. Cheating is cheating. Let's just put that out there. Getting caught doing it is where it gets out of hand and just looks bad. Now the fine or the penalty for this was the Astros received a maximum $5 million fine, forfeited first and second round picks in 2020 and 2021, and the manager and GM each were suspended 1 year, swiftly being fired by Jim Crane. No players were punished, which is still weird. LeBron weighed in on it, saying that Manfred to listen to players and fix this for the sake of sports. Some things are just unfixable. You got to remember that. And I think with this one, yes. And Jarrell's right. Every sport has cheaters. No big deal. Having cheaters is one thing. It's when it gets exposed and like how blatant. I think what made this one bad, because I never saw what happened until I saw like a video where they broke it down. It was how blatantly obvious it was that you have someone like beating against like the metal mesh, beating against the mesh on the sideline that's making it like, hey, this is what they're doing. And it's like, do y'all got to win? Is it that bad? Is it that serious? Like, and the team you're playing against, they looking at it as, oh, we kind of got snubbed from getting a win. And it kind of turns to that factor of you really don't know if it would have been that type of a deal. Okay. I like this is why having people in my Instagram chat always makes me laugh. So both my cousin and my boy Jarrell both said the same thing. They were talking about the Patriots, no fines or punishments. They got fined, they got some suspension, but it wasn't as hard of a hit because New England was becoming America's team, and I think everybody wanted to feel bad for New England, but it didn't justify it. Like, we knew it was the Deflategate. We knew about the camera scandal. We knew that it was stuff that they were doing to get by. So mid-record, I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know I'm still voice recording. I'm going to stop the Instagram live for about maybe 5 or 10 seconds, and then it'll be right back up with another recording. So I'll be back with that. But yeah, it's just a coincidence that, having that occur the way it did it was bad timing, man. Like it kind of made the NFL not look as clean as they thought it did. And we know that. We understand it. It's a sport. It's a business. Like all of that's fair and valid, but it just didn't look right. It didn't look good for the sake of the brand that the NFL was trying to present. But yeah, with this baseball story, it was just funny and insane all at once. So yeah, that's kind of my overview. Sorry, like I said, my bad, y'all. I know y'all missed like everything that I just said on Instagram Live, but I'm saving the recordings. I'm working on that, doing better with keeping the recordings available to go back and watch. An idea that I may start doing, and I don't know yet, is I may start putting these on IGTV. We'll see. I thought about it, but I haven't been 100% solid in thinking that route yet. All right, so that's it for sports. We are going to get into stuff. And like I said, there were a lot of sports stories that I had previously on the last show that I didn't get into. And part of it was just timing in life and everything going the way it did. Before I get into these couple of stuff stories, I wanted to promote my boy. He has a sandwich shop. He's probably in mid sales, if not finished for the day, but he does this every Saturday. It is called TJ Sandwich Shop. He has Big Mouth sandwiches, burgers, and subs. You can get wings, hot barbecue fried, steak and chicken, cheese subs, club, pulled chicken, turkey and beef burgers, fried bologna burger. He does do small events catering. If you want to reach out to him, his email is drapertim5608@gmail.com. Or you can also reach out to him at 804-638-9051. And y'all, when you if you see me, just send me just stop me, and because I have a couple of his cards, because I always try to I'm working on this still, because I'm still trying to brand and promote, because I know I haven't promoted and sent any stuff up. But yeah, I got you, Jarrell. I'll give you his info. Just if you catch me at work, fine. If not, I can take a picture of the card and just message it to you. You know, I got you covered. All that being said, let's hop into stuff. And there wasn't really a lot of stuff that I had recently, but I'm going to go ahead and rewind a little, because I did forget. And this officially is going to be an interesting point, because yesterday was the actual first day of pre-orders for the Galaxy S20. Now, before I go any further, because someone asked this online and they were trying to figure out why did they go from the 10 to the 20. If you really are under a rock or really aren't thinking ahead, you would know why they went to 20. What year are we in? What year is the device dropping? This isn't a stay woke. This isn't a deep thought. It's just a simple observe what businesses do to stay on top of what works. Even with the specs, the phone is ridiculous. The specs are amazing, or the specs are insane, especially with the 100 times zoom feature, which is going to be off the wall. But all of that being said, we're in a technological era where we have to stay on top of people with what they do. When Apple did the infamous, all right, we're skipping 9 and we're going to iPhone X. That got people's attention, because it's the X. Ooh, we need to see what the X does. And then the 11 came out with 90 cameras. They haven't really been they've talked about what prototypes may be coming for the new iPhone, but I'm not really too pressed until we actually see the keynote. And I'm going to be honest, keynotes don't pull me anymore. This is for any device or any company. Like, if it's anyone who I think still kills the keynote game, and this is just me being techie and being 100% honest, it's a 1 and 1A with Google and Amazon. Google does not get their credit for what they have released or are releasing. I'm a big believer, and I know we're like a lot of people do not like smart devices and everything's tracking what you say or do, but we got to be real about it. Like our devices can hear and pick up everything we say or do. Like if you sit and say, oh man, this is a nice AirPod case that I'm thinking of getting. The minute you say that, if you go through your scrolls or you go through your social media, hey, looks like these are some AirPod cases you might need for your AirPods. You can get these on sale, and it's a business. It's an algorithm. If you are missing out and don't get it, something is wrong. But yes, the foldable phone is going to be interesting. The battery life on it is garbage, but we know that, we expect that. But I think people are going to buy it for the nostalgic purpose and also for the portability. And the Apple, I'm sorry, it's not Apple. The Galaxy has been doing it. Going USB-C is the way. And in my personal opinion, and I'm saying this now, so anyone who has an Apple device, do not come for me. I'm speaking this because it's truth, and it's a possibility it would be, hold on. Sorry. Don't be surprised if the new iPhone is a USB-C charger. They're okay. Sorry, I was late saying it, but yes, they're going to. It's not going to be something that's adapted. Technically, Apple is already doing USB-C, and I'm going to explain why. The iPad Pro, one of the new, like the later iPads that have just come out, they're using USB-C. And Danielle, to go back to your statement or your thought, I thought I had to search it, but you said you just say it. Wow. Yeah. Phones don't need you to search for stuff anymore to really know what you're looking for. A lot of times it's little things that were being done before. Like if you go to Office Max, you look at something on Office Max and you don't buy it. But then if you happen to go browsing, you go through Instagram, it's going to show the Office Max conversation. I mean, something that you looked at on Office Max. Hey, remember that mouse that you just looked at? You think you might want to buy it now? Like they're going to push it to you because they want you to buy that product. And that's just how technology is becoming smarter than we are. And we sometimes are just behind and don't realize it. Yeah. Thank you. Jarrell just broke down my point. Say something tech related and then check Facebook. You'll literally be surprised. Or check Instagram. Like anything that I'm talking about right now, it's not gonna show up. Rarely does it show up on my podcast feed, but on my personal feed is flooded with, I get hit with Amazon, Staples, Office Max, AirPod cases. The same stuff comes to my feed almost every day. And I'm like, I don't even follow Office Max. Like, why are y'all sending me this stuff? But they know what you looked at and they're like, like Amazon, I searched for washi tape because I'm doing bullet journaling. And literally they sent me a email. Hey, you might be interested in buying some washi tape. I was like, I just wanted to see what it was. Relax. But long tangent, nothing outrageous. But yes, to go back to your point, yes, the USB-C is coming. It's just a matter of when. If it comes up on the next phone, cool. If it doesn't, the only problem becomes now you have everyone with lightning cables that can't do anything with them. That's the only problem. And that's just what it is. And that's where we are. So, before we continue, shout out to the Blue Yeti and also the customer rep who I talked to a couple of days ago, because I was not sure what was going to happen with this mic, but I am very thankful and grateful that the mic is working and functioning phenomenally and the audio is coming in clearly, and I'm not having to feel like I need to yell into my mic to go all out to get my thoughts shared. So yeah, just wanted to get that out there. Microsoft has finally done it. I've downloaded this app. Now I'm gonna do a Microsoft and Google comparison, so bear with me, but I'm gonna get into the Microsoft article I have first. Microsoft is now preparing they have an all-in-one Office app, which is available for Android and iPhone. It is the first application that has been available as a public preview. It initially was limited to Android users that signed up through a specific group. And there were a certain amount of iOS testers, 10,000, who had registered from Apple's test flight program. The consumer ready Android app was slipped into the Google Play Store, and a Microsoft spokesperson then stated that now the iPhone version is officially out of beta. So now those are both live. I've used the Office app. When you go into it, it does ask you to do a sign in to get you your information, which is understandable. And then from there, you kind of just set everything up that, you can go in and do documents. You can convert Word documents to PDF. It makes everything very convenient because now most of us are on our phones all the time, as obviously I'm making that clear with recording a Insta Live video. So it's simple in that factor. Now, that being the case, this now comes to the infamous cloud conversation, because everything now we know is cloud. Gmail, and as a matter of fact, I have accepted that I have to let Google Chrome go because Chrome is going through their password deletion, restoration. They want you to change all your passwords type of scenario. So I said, okay, I need to go to another browser. Well, one, I was not going to use Opera because I think Opera was not one of the best browsers in my opinion. I don't have anything that is capable of running. Well, my MacBook will not use Edge. You can get Edge on other devices, which is interesting, but that's another story. That's all like the Apple and Microsoft battle. And then that leaves you with Safari, which Safari is cool, but Safari's interface just doesn't do it for me personally. Yes, Jarrell put Mozilla. That is what I'm using now. Mozilla is an underrated browser. It always has been an underrated browser. If you really go back and look at history, Mozilla is just a refreshed version of Netscape. I've told people this before. I've recommended this as a site or a show to check out. Check out Valley of the Boom. If you're a 90s baby, it will really give you a nostalgic feel because it gives you the battle of Microsoft and Netscape battling each other. But Netscape kind of eventually transformed into Mozilla. If I thought it was reliable enough and I was comfortable with using it, I would use Thunderbird as far as the email client, but I'm good with Gmail. And I found like a program called Kiwi, which puts all my Gmail accounts into one profile. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I say all of that to say you have everything that Microsoft is doing. And of course, this then goes back to the infamous Google Docs and spreadsheets and apps and all those things. So with you having those options and that availability, it helps out because now if I'm opening a document, it's not going to cause as much chaos or as much confusion. Lens, let me get the article a little bit. At the bottom of the screen, you'll find a plus icon that reveals three additional options: Note, Lens, and Documents. The first creates a postage style note that is immediately added to your chronological feed. It's a useful way to scribble thoughts or reminders during meetings or add an explanatory note to an Office file that you might need later. Curiously, though, this feature doesn't use or supports Microsoft's OneNote service, which I don't think people need to use OneNote. I think if you're personally preferring to use something, just use the sticky notes feature. Microsoft has the sticky notes feature built into Outlook. I don't know if a lot of people know that or not. If you use an Outlook client, like let's say you're checking, I don't know if it's the case with, I don't want to say the company's name, but with one business, but it does usually have an option to say where you can look at notes or create notes so that anytime you have a note or something you need to do, you can go to that note. It's there. And if you check that note from somewhere else, it's updated based on the information needed. I personally use Evernote, but we're not going to talk about that. And I don't know if y'all heard that on Instagram Live, but I'm an Evernote guy. So I stick to what I know. A lot of people say they don't like Evernote, and it's all your personal preference. So Lens, meanwhile, is a document and whiteboard scanning tool that has been available for years as a standalone app. The final option, Document, brings up 9 shortcuts that help you get started in each of your Office apps. These include blank document for Word, scan table for Excel, and create from template for PowerPoint. They're all self-explanatory, and there's enough white space on the screen that Microsoft could add a few more if required. And using these in dark mode is everything, FYI. The Office app also, has an action section. Wow, that hurt. That offers further shortcuts. These are useful tools that users might not know exist or have problem finding inside their favorite Office apps. There's a PDF section, for instance, with one-tap shortcuts for hand signing a PDF and converting a Word document into a PDF. Daniel, thanks for coming to the show. Thanks for tuning in, watching, listening. This video will be online. And if you want, I can send you the actual podcast link once I have it edited and uploaded. I got you covered. The Office team has added a couple of brand new features too, such as the ability to share files to a nearby phone. Crucially, the Office app contains a full-fat Word, Excel, and PowerPoint editor. I got you. I'll send it to you. Matter of fact, I'll put a reminder in my notebook to do that. Crucially, the Office app contains a full-fat Word, Excel, and PowerPoint editor. A Microsoft spokesperson said the company intends to retain feature parity between the standalone versions and the new Office app. If you prefer the original versions, though, don't fret. They're not being retired and will be developed alongside the Office app going forward. So if you still have like the separate apps like Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, you can still use those and that'll work out to your advantage. Sorry, I don't mean to make much noise. This is something I normally wouldn't do, but I know I'm going to forget. So that's something that is a new thing for me. And I'm telling y'all this now because it's important. If you don't put information down or you don't get yourself in the habit of remembering to do stuff, you won't do it. Just bottom line. So files can be stored locally or through a cloud-based service such as OneDrive, Google Drive, iCloud, Dropbox, and Box. If you have an Office 365 or Microsoft 365 subscription, the app should also grant you the same premium features that you would expect to find in the original Word, Excel, and PowerPoint apps. If you're interested in the new Office app, it should be available to download now through the Play Store and App Store. So if you are a user, definitely check those out. You will enjoy it. It's a worthwhile investment and it's good to have just in case. All right. Anyone from the 90s will love this story because this is nostalgia on every level. Hasbro is relaunching their classic Tiger electronic gaming handheld devices. So any of y'all that remember Jordan versus Bird, Transformers, the list goes on and on. X-Men Project X, The Little Mermaid, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, so on and so on. So right now, and I'm gonna, say what. So, and I'm gonna have this link. These links will be in the show notes. I always forget to mention that, but I want to make sure we are aware. A few years ago, Bandai revived its line of Tamagotchi virtual pets. The new versions of the toy were smaller than the originals from the 90s and had fewer features. They must have sold pretty well, though, since the company followed those up with full-size reissues of both first and second generation Tamagotchis. According to The Verge, Hasbro is banking on 90s nostalgia too, and will reintroduce the then ubiquitous Tiger Electronics LCD handhelds. The affordable games took cues from Nintendo's Game & Watch portables, featuring one title per device and a simple form of gameplay. The big reason for their success, and what Hasbro is likely hoping to still be a selling point, was that they were based on popular console and arcade games like Mega Man and Ninja Gaiden, as well as movies and TV shows like 101 Dalmatians and Beavis and Butthead. So 4 games will be released this fall. I just mentioned those: Little Mermaid, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Transformers Generation 2, and X-Men Project X. They said the games were inspired by their original counterparts, so there may be some changes to their design and functionality. A rechargeable battery is not one of them, though. They will still need 2 AA batteries to run, and they're not included, which makes sense. This has always been the trend. If you are not already doing this, and I always emphasize this, if you can and you find a way to invest in Duracell or Energizer. Your future will thank you later because you buy them all the time. I get it. People use Rayovac. Some people use Sunbeam. Some people use inexpensive batteries. But yeah, they're not going to. So when it comes to nostalgia, you have to be balanced in your nostalgia. Like balance and nostalgia, meaning you can't give us everything and expect to go, okay, we're going to put a rechargeable battery, a USB micro adapter. Nah, they got to keep it with the true nostalgic feel, because then that takes those who were playing it back into that time element. Like, even if they brought back the original Game Boy, like, I mean, you can buy Game Boys anywhere now for dirt cheap. But if you were to bring back the original Game Boy as a console or as a system, I don't want it brought back with rechargeable batteries. That's my opinion. Because the reality was, when you played it in its day, you didn't play it. Like, Game Boy batteries lasted a long time, depending on the person who was playing the game, which is a whole nother conversation. But yeah, I would keeping the 2 batteries. I don't have an issue with that. But I see what you're saying. It would be helpful to keep up with the times, but we're not doing it. Thanks to their poorly aged graphics and simple gameplay, these probably won't appeal to kids, especially if they already have a Nintendo Switch or iPad. It is more likely that 80s babies will get a kick out of seeing them again, and either purchase them on impulse. They do cost $14.99 each, or as a fun gift for like-minded friends. So $15, you're looking at what, $60 if you bought all 4 of them. And just think of it like this. And I'll say this, and then we're not really much music. I'm gonna talk about music, but not really. And then we'll get into Ass of the Week. Everything now is more geared towards, we're trying to bring stuff back to get people take my money. You're trying to get people in the habit of finding a way to get them back in the store. If I can get you back in the store for buying, and I'm going to use Walmart as an example for this. Walmart is, and I talked about this on the show a couple weeks ago. If you have if you have the ability to give me, what is it? NBA Jam in an arcade format in a smaller size for an affordable price with Wi-Fi, I got you in the store. Now let me see what other things you might be interested in buying, because even if you do or don't have children, there are other things that you're like, you know what? I need to get food. I need to get snacks. I need to get clothes. It's a way of getting the consumer to come into the store. And that's where it's like a balance of an imbalance, because you do want consumers who just get what they need and get out, but you also need those consumers who are going to stay in and buy other things. Give a generic example. Wawa. When Wawa's first open, they always do free coffee. Free coffee gets you in the store. But what keeps you in the store are the other products and other merchandise, food, other types of food. And yes, it is high level marketing. But I you know what? And this might sound crazy, I'll take high level marketing over multi-level marketing any day. And I don't care who I offend in saying that, but MLMs and pyramids, I'm cool. And that's just my opinion on those. We are at our musical session where we talk about what are some good songs to possibly do with AirPod escapes. I've listened to a couple things. I will tell you offhand, Weeknd's new single is everything. His new album should be coming out March the 20th, which should be a good thing. It's always enjoyable. And looks like I have a new album that I need to listen to, because BTS dropped their album yesterday. I'm an undercover, quiet, low-key K-pop fan. And it's a coincidence, and I guess I'm doing more cross promo. Check out, oh shoot, I hope I got their name right. I think it's the Petty Podcast, but I don't want to spell it or mispronounce it, and I can't find it on my phone because I have the phone being used as the Instagram part. So let's see. I don't know why I want to call it the Petty Podcast or the Petty Betty Podcast. It's something. They just started their show and it's funny. That's the best way I can describe it. I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna look up some stuff and do some show note research, and I will definitely get back and tell you the name of the show. But I thought of them because one of the girls on there, a couple of them on the show are introverts, cool, whatever. But the reality is they are into K-pop like heavy. So I asked one of them, asked my friend a couple years ago, like, hey, trying to think of some new music. And she was like, check out K-pop. And then she told me about BTS. And I found BTS because they did a song. It's called Euphoria. Didn't thought that's what it said, but that's another story. But it's fun to like expand your listening a little bit. So I did do that. I didn't talk about it too much, but I did mention earlier. I think it was a coincidence because this album had just released. Pop Smoke just had a new album that came out. So, it's a frustrating feeling to lose someone in that blind side of an experience. And it looks like Grimecraft has a new single, and I'm a big fan of his. So I'm definitely going to be listening to that later on today. Y'all know I'm always in my lo-fi bag, checking out new stuff here and there. Alanis Morissette has a new single. Kamaya has a new album that dropped. Ray Lynn is out. Let's see who else. Royce da 5'9's new album is out, and I need to listen to it like yesterday. So I'm going to try to give that a listen and give some input on it. And I think that's everything that I can think of right offhand. So those are all my musical shares. I know people talked about Justin Bieber's album. I have not listened to it. There's a slim chance that I will because he's not somebody who I jump on to get my go-to music, but that's me. And this is something that I'm going to work harder on letting people know with music. Everyone doesn't get their proper cred in the music industry. So if you don't like what an artist is doing, that's cool. But respect their artistry. That's my one thing I think isn't emphasized enough, is that we don't give people their proper cred when they are doing something. Like I didn't watch the full video, but I watched a good amount of Meg Thee Stallion's Tiny Desk. And she did a pretty good job. I mean, to be able to, everybody was like hanging on to the infamous breath control reference, which I think is kind of like, all right, she's trying to keep her energy of being like in her rapper bag, but still give you a good performance. And that's not easy to do. Like watching Wale do his set. I mean, I'm a Wale fan off rip, so that was already like a joy. I'm waiting for her to do it, and if she does it, I definitely will lock in. I want to see Billie Eilish do her set on Tiny Desk. And if you haven't been watching Tiny Desk, you're missing out. Four of them that I would tell you to watch is Ari Lennox, her, Tyler, the Creator, and obviously T-Pain. Those are four to kind of get you like a feel of what to expect. I forgot about his, and I still think it's like in that mix. Anderson .Paak had a good Tiny Desk too. And yes, Wale is the GOAT. I didn't realize. I think people know that I am a slight Wale stan. I'm going to be honest because I like Wale's music. Like I know what to expect out of him. Everybody, like a friend of mine, his wife will always pick with me because she always calls him Whale. And I'm like, whatever, make good music. And that's just what it is. So just where I'm at with that. All right. Ass of the week. This one might be the best yet craziest story I've ever done for an ass of the week. But we're going to talk about it and we're going to get into it because it is off the wall. It is insane. And it was a real thing that happened. So a Minnesota man let me give you the title first. Man opened fire on party after no one would sing happy birthday to his girlfriend. A Minnesota man opened fire on a birthday party after birthday party attendees would not sing happy birthday to his girlfriend. Delonte Thomas has been sentenced to nearly 28 years in prison for the shooting. It happened a year ago this month when Thomas was at a birthday party for someone else He reportedly started a fight with some partygoers for serenading the host, but not his girlfriend, whose birthday happened to be the same day. He left the party. This is where it gets, this part of the story is where I get into my confusing state. He left the party. That means you had time to get away, contemplate, think a little bit, get your thoughts together, and returned about 20 minutes later with a semi-automatic and shot the woman who refused to sing to his girlfriend 9 times. Thomas also shot 2 others 8 times each. They all were treated and they survived. Now, that's the blessing of this story, because you got, 9 shots and 8. You shot, 16. You shot 25 bullets and no one got killed. That is telling. And that's a blessing in itself. Oh yeah, this is Ask of the Year candidate. That's definitely Ask of the Year candidate. And I need people to remind me of certain stories that I shared, which one should be Ask of the Year. Because Ask of the Week's okay, cool, but Ask of the Year, it's gonna be interesting. Fingers crossed, by July, I'm hoping that I may be able to get a more solid routine with getting more weekly Ask of the Week stories in the mix. So we'll see how that goes. Thomas said in a court statement that he has no memory of having a gun or shooting any guests at the party. Okay. I'm the peacemaker. I'm the one to try my best to make it through the situation. I don't recall having a gun. You don't recall having a gun. I don't recall shooting anyone. I just hope to get some type of mercy here. And he says, everybody makes mistakes and everybody deserves a second chance. Okay. There's no way in the world you took 20 minutes, left for 20 minutes, came back and didn't have any type of a heavy or strong intention while doing what you did. So yeah, this is Ask of the Week, potential Ask of the Year. I will keep that in mind because I'm gonna start keeping tracks of these more often. It feels good to be back, man. And we're going to go ahead and give you what I love to do, which is my favorite part of the show, which is to pass the message. Every time I come on, I like to give a message to everyone who listens. If it's your first time, it's a message to walk away with and something to think about going through your life or going through your day or your routine. And my message that I'm going to pass today is don't give up on yourself. I've been known to give up on me because of things not going the way I want them to, when in reality, it's just life realigning things to go the way that they're meant to and not the way I want them to go. And accepting that is a lot harder than we realize sometimes, because we want everything to be a certain way. And if it's not, we lose it. And I've been transitioning mentally on so many levels. I've had a lot of people who have complimented me on just my growth, and anyone who has said anything positive or uplifting, thank you. I'm still learning as I go. I'm still growing as I build, and it's a constant work in progress. So I just say all of that to say, don't feel like if you're doing something or not doing enough that you're not, because you may be doing more than you realize. Life has a funny way to be funny and just do something that you just ain't used to, which is, for me, life set me down a couple days ago because I was like this, go. Let's go do this. When in reality, I needed to just sit down and take a breather. And when you take a breather, you really get to be mentally counterproductive and think your thoughts through and act differently and move differently and carry yourself differently. So that's my message I just want to share is if you are in that rough patch, just take time and breathe and just enjoy life and not stress yourself out over what you can't control. Everything may not go your way now, but it's going your way as it's meant to go. And it may not be the way you expect it to be, but it's going to come together. And that's really all I got, man. I really am glad to be back. I'm going to definitely be back in my every other week grind. Podcast is not going nowhere. The shows are still gonna be moving. I'm in a domain battle mentally, but I think I know what I'm gonna be doing, which is probably, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So that's all I got. And I hope y'all continue tuning in. As always, we will be recording every other week. next podcast, I'm going to try to get some XFL action in here because I know I've been basketball heavy, but I want to get some football love to the show and work on that. So until next time, y'all keep tuning in. Be positive, be a blessing. Don't be a burden, and don't fight yourself over what you can't control. And until next time, this is The Pass signing out. Really appreciate all the support, all the listens, all the likes, all the effort that goes into anyone who has provided any form of content for The Pass. We're signing out now, but you definitely don't want to miss what's in store for the upcoming episode. If you are interested in getting more information or becoming a podcaster, you can check out Spreaker.com. And the microphone that you are hearing me use is the Blue Yeti X. I had been using a Yeti for a while. I went back to the Samson Meteor, but now I'm using the Blue Yeti X, which is everything. Trust me. All social medias, The Pass BT. That's THE Pass, as in pass the ball. BT is my initials. And finally, if you are a creator and you want to support a fellow creator, subscribe, like, and comment on The Pass. Until next time, this is your host, BT, signing out.